They have a luncheon every year around the beginning of baseball, and they've been having it for years and years and years. It's the Chamber of Commerce Giants, San Francisco Giants baseball, play ball luncheon. And it's a big to do. And they have it at this big hotel, and they have all the sponsors, and they have the players, and they have the other various media people who cover the Giants, et cetera, et cetera. And that's all well and good. I have no beef with that. And I want to let you guys know what I'm about to say has nothing to do with Giants fans at their core, very, very good fans. They've had to endure a lot with the team playing a candlestick for years and, celebrating World Series championships. They're passionate, they're supportive, all that stuff. I got no beef with the Giants fans, most of them at least. What I do have issue with is this suckathon that they have every year. And it's Larry Baer, who is basically the front man for the Giants. The used to be CEO with a whole lot of juice, and now he's just kind of the leftover who likes to stand and go down to the stands and sit in the seats and hobnob with people and try to present a kind of this suck up image. Meanwhile, doing all the wrong things and presenting a very different private image as opposed to public image. And there is no accountability from the various media members of the Giants. Forget that, just in general media about land deals, about money that's supposed to be going allegedly to various causes in terms of the Giants, their franchise, the ownership. And Larry Baer himself is such an out and out, he's a power figure, has done things and been involved in things that don't get coverage, that don't have the same kind of accountability coverage that other cities would do and often presently do in regards to covering the team, whether it's ownership in the Mets and the Yankees, the 49ers. I'm using sports teams across the board. Larry Baer gets a pass. And he's had issues with domesticness. He's had issues, all over the place. And it's the luncheon is basically it's a propaganda hour. And they call him Big Bird, Larry Baer. They call him Big Bird for a reason because he's just kind of a big, kind of a male yenta. And I, for one, am sick of the fact that, as I said, there's no news coverage. It's all, and that's kind of the whole situation that we're in, the environment that we live today, where we have no investigative reporting, where we have very little background on where's the money going. How come years ago in the Giants, they purposely undervalued their own stadium so they wouldn't have to pay many taxes on the entire stadium, even though it's regarded, rightly so, as one of the nicest stadiums, not only in baseball, but in professional sports. They purposely undervalued the stadium so they wouldn't have to pay taxes, or at least the right amount of taxes on the stadium. That got scant coverage in the Bay Area papers. Meanwhile, other things too, land deals, the big development that they're doing, which they have every right to do. There's nothing wrong there out in the right field beyond the Cove area where they have buildings and restaurants and all this stuff going on. And where does the money go? Doesn't go to player development. We heard that. We know that. Where does it go? And, where's the accountability on that deal? Now, look, they're a private company. They can do as they please. I just get, as I said, when this Larry Baer goes on all these shows and he spouts off all this BS and crap, and he has very selective members of the Bay Area media, which he kisses ass, and they kiss his ass. Like, say, Brian Murphy of KNBR, who's got his nose up Bear's ass, as I've often stated, so much so that he might as well put on his Buster Posey jersey, which he often does, because Murphy is nothing but a fan. He's a fanboy, and he kisses Larry Bear's ass, and there's nothing there to talk about. It's all there, and Bear plays it on his end too. And we, the Chronicle's falling apart. They have no coverage anymore. They have no analytical coverage and background and all that. So you know I'm smoking a pipe dream in that regards. There's just no investigative reporters. Hell, there's no reporters, period, looking into this, the team and so forth. But there's a lot to report upon and comment on with regards to Larry Baer. And he knows that I know, and I'm the only one who brings it up because I don't have a vested interest in the Giants. And I'll say this for Baer. He and the group that originally put together a plan, they saved the Giants from going to Florida and all that. I'll give them that. But after that, there's so many question marks and maneuverings and things that have taken place, not just sports wise, but the entire city political movement and structure involved in San Francisco. I know these things. I've heard and talked to people who knows things and said things. And yet, again, where is the coverage? Where are any reporter out there at the Standard, this new wonderful, they say, online publication, or the Chronicle? Although the Chronicle is no longer a newspaper. It's more of where do you get the best sandwiches in the Mission. That's what the Chronicle is for. Or to tell us things about pink houses near Ocean Beach. Chronicle long ago gave up on reporting. So the propaganda that will spew forth on Tuesday that Larry Baer will spout off will have admiring people and suck ups and kiss asses. And, that's all well and good. But I still think that there are people out there who know things, who know what's going on, who have wanted to write and say things, but they can't. Why? Because they want to curry favor through Baer. They don't want to, shall we say, mess up their arrangement with the Giants. And of course, that free food for most of them, I know they have to pay a small stipend now, but the food that they get while covering the team is way too good to compromise pissing off Larry Baer. So Big Bird will spew forth his propaganda on Tuesday, and the world will live happily ever after, especially those in and around the ballpark near 3rd and King.